The year 2024 became a truly defining year for Ukrainian cinema. First, Ukraine won its first Oscar. And secondly, despite the war and the social and political troubles associated with it, several films that were shot 2 or even 3 years ago were released in wide national distribution. But now in more detail. Firstly, about our prominent documentary films. Ukrainian film 20 Days in Mariupol by Mstislav Chernov stands as the most acclaimed film of independent Ukraine, boasting more than 20, actually almost 30 awards and honors from a variety of festivals and competitions. Among its recent achievements are Ukraine's prestigious National Taras Shevchenko Award and the Journalism and Media category, alongside with the aforementioned Oscar for the Best Feature Documentary. During his speech at the Academy Awards ceremony held in Los Angeles, Chernov expressed a poignant sentiment. He might very well be the first director on the grand stage who, instead of desiring his film's success, would willingly trade his award to ensure Russia never attacked Ukraine, never seized Ukraine cities, and never claimed the lives of tens of thousands of his fellow countrymen. Regrettably, as Chernov acknowledged, history of the past cannot be altered by one person alone. He emphasized that it's only through collective efforts that history can be set right, truth can prevail, and the people of Mariupol, as well as those lost, are forever remembered. As Chernov poignantly stated, cinema shapes our memories, and these memories, in turn, shape our history. So this documentary film is about Mstislav Chernov, Ukrainian videographer, photojournalist, director, war correspondent, and writer, who in February 2022, alongside producer Vasilisa Stepanenko and photographer Evgen Malolietka, arrived in Mariupol just an hour before the invasion as a team from the Associated Press agency. Then they filmed everything unfolding in the city, the humanitarian catastrophe sparked by the Russian siege, the mass burials of Ukrainian civilians, and countless crimes committed by Russian forces. They were the first to unveil the shocking aftermath of the local maternity hospital being bombed by the Russian forces, photos of which swiftly circulated across global news outlets. Another prominent documentary film is Intercepted. Its Ukrainian title is Peaceful People. This film was directed by Oksana Krapovich. This documentary merges the intercepted phone calls of Russian soldiers in Ukraine with their families back home with images of the destruction caused by the invasion. The director talks about the idea of a film like this. When the full-scale invasion of Russia began, I was in Ukraine and unexpectedly started working as a local producer with Al Jazeera English. Thanks to this work, I witnessed Russian war crimes in different regions of Ukraine. At night after work, I developed a habit of listening to wiretapes, the calls of Russian soldiers in Ukraine calling their families. The discrepancy between the brutal reality I lived in during this day and what I heard at night was shocking. In these interceptions, the Russian sounded human. The most painful thing was to accept why people act so unhumanly. So the film is dedicated to all Ukrainian men and women who are selflessly resisting Russian imperialistic violence. But there are not enough of our defenders in the frame. They are behind the frame, bringing our victory closer. Most of the film is a camera drive through village streets, views of broken, burned buildings or mutilated rooms. All this is the work of peaceful, so-called peaceful people, whom we also do not see. But we hear their voices, interception conversation of Russian military personnel with their families, which took place from March to November 2022. Another interesting documentary is Ukrainian-American film Soldiers of Song, directed by Ryan Smith. It's about the music industry in Ukraine during the full-scale invasion of the Russian Federation. The film is dedicated to the role of music during the war in Ukraine, tells the story of the songs that unite the nation and the musicians who inspire in difficult times. The documentary presents the stories of Ukrainian performers such as Sviatoslav Vakarchuk, Andrei Hlyvniuk, Svetlana Tarabarova, Mykolai Serga, Marko Holanevich and his band Daha Braha, and musician of the Mariupol Chamber Philharmonic, and also military serviceman Katerina Polishuk, aka Ptashka, who through their creativity expressed the struggle, courage, and national spirit of Ukraine. Also in 2024, we had a lot of significant feature films. For example, Reflection, in Ukrainian Vidblisk, as it is a Ukrainian drama film directed by Valentin Vasyanovich. Its world premiere took place at 78th Venice International Film Festival, where it was selected to compete for the Golden Lion. The film tells the story of Serhiy, a Ukrainian civilian and later a military surgeon who is captured by the Russian army during the Russian-Ukrainian war in eastern Ukraine. While in captivity, Serhiy witnessed terrible scenes of humiliation, abuse and torture of Ukrainians at the hands of the Russian occupiers. During a prisoner exchange between Ukraine and Russia, Serhiy is released from captivity, returned to his former civilian life, and tries to find meaning in life by rebuilding his relationship with his ex-wife and their daughter. He learns to be a person in a new way, to be a father who knows how to love and support his loved ones. Another one feature film is I and Felix, English title Rock, Paper, Grenade, Oh, Felix and Me. It's a Ukrainian drama film, the directorial debut of Irina Tsilik in a feature film. Previously, she made some very interesting documentary films. This film is based on the autobiographical novel Who Are You? By Ukrainian writer Artem Chekh. The film tells the story of the growing up of the boy Timofey, who occurred in the 1990s in post-Soviet Ukraine. The plot is based on the boy's relationship with his own family, friends, first love, as well as his relationship with Felix, a former soldier from the war in Afghanistan, who also becomes part of his family. Another prominent project is Ukrainian feature film titled Budinok Slova, Neskінченний Roman, in English, Slova House, Unfinished Novel. It was directed by Taras Tomenko, who also co-wrote the screenplay with writer Lyubov Yakimchuk. It should be mentioned that previously Taras Tomenko directed the documentary film about the history of Slova House in Kharkiv, which was the capital of Soviet Ukraine till 1932. This building, erected in 1930, primarily for Kharkiv writers, its building, its aerial view resembled the letter C, which is read S in Ukrainian, S Slovo. Initially, its commendable living conditions pleased the residents, Ukrainian writers. However, it soon became evident that the primary intent behind establishing the Slovo House was not solely to enhance the Bohemians' comfort, but rather to keep them under surveillance. Subsequently, it facilitated the easier apprehension of writers congregated within its walls. And the plot of the feature film, Slova House, Unfinished Novel, revolves around the lives of Ukrainian writers and artists in the early 1930s, a period later known as the Executed Renaissance. Розстріляне відродження. In the early 1930s, the film Slova House follows the story of a young poet, Volodymyr Akimov, as he arrives in Kharkiv with dreams of making it big. His excitement soars as he secures a room in the prestigious Slova building, seeing it and his ticket to the literary world. The reasons the Slova featuring prominent Ukrainian writers such as Mykola Khmelievy, Mikhailo Semenko, Raisa Troyanker, Volodymyr Susura, Pavlo Ticino, Mike Johansen, and Arkady Lubchenko, who not only dislike Akimov's poetry but openly ridicule him, branding him as a mere hack writer. The painful disappointment fundamentally transforms Akimov from a confused and smiling, a naive, clumsy person. He turns into an angry and cunning man, hungry for revenge and power. All this unfolds against the backdrop of the deepening catastrophe of Stalinism, the Holodomor, ruthless censorship, mass arrests, and the suicide of one of the generation's leaders, Mykola Khmelievy. These are just a few of the exciting new movies that have been released this year. However, Ukraine have released many interesting films in previous years as well, which you can watch on Netflix on other online platforms.